one of the challenges is that if you think about music and gaming, the idea of integrating, artists into these experiences, you're fundamentally looking at 5 different types of rights that for the first time in history are basically colliding into one product, right? So it is not a plug and play solution that we labels can bring to the table, not until now, right?
Welcome to Brands in Play, the podcast where we explore immersive marketing and the people who are leading it. I'm Nick Hill, co-founder and chief innovation officer at Sawhorse.
And I'm Albane Prioux, insights and partnership director at
This week on the show, brands coming into Assassin's Creed, Netflix leans into gaming, ESPN and Mentos know how to party on Fortnite, Nyx makes Minecraft makeup, and we explore how the music industry has previously activated inside the UGC gaming space.
That's right, and we actually will be joined by Alvaro Velilla, Senior Vice President of New Business at Universal Music Group, to unpack how the music industry is thinking about gaming and immersive platforms.
That's right. It's going to be a good one. So let's go.
Let's do it. Hi, Nick. How are you?
What's up, Albane? I'm good. How are you?
Good. Can you believe this is episode 7?
I can, because it's been a lot of work and I'm exhausted.
Yeah. Actually, I can. I have seen the time go by. How's your week been? I know that GDC has happened, so you went from South by Southwest to now GDC. Tell me all about it.
It was awesome. Game Developers Conference. I was just up there for one day, so I truthfully did not really even go inside of the convention center. I was just outside coffee shops and bars talking to 1 million people and lining up meetings, talked to a bunch of inspiring people, which was great. I did get to go inside to the press room and did an interview for Variety with an article that just came out. That was fun. Also, while I was up in San Francisco, I got to go to the Roblox Partner Day because Sawhorse is part of the partner program. Yeah. We got to kind of go behind the scenes to Roblox HQ, and we got to learn about how the company itself is approaching its thoughts on how they are going to work with brands and how they're going to work with partners like Sawhorse and others, and how they want to partner together to kind of bring those brands to life. So there's a lot of exciting developments coming that we'll talk about on this show like in the next few months, but it's pretty awesome. Definitely.
I think Roblox has always been at the forefront of, what game used to be, and now like more UGC and virtual platforms. So really mirroring what other social media platforms are doing with brands. So really excited to see what's next with them. On my side this week, really, I want to give a bit of a shout out and a plug-in. But I wrote a newsletter with the team at Geek on pop culture and how some of the entertainment IP that we're seeing are really effortlessly being integrated within, translated essentially inside gaming and those virtual environments that we're seeing. So entertainment IP that are making some top trends on Zepeto or on Roblox. It's really interesting to see how people are essentially interchanging IPs from one platform to another. And then I don't know if that made the US market yet, but I've also watched Adolescence, and I thought that you would like this because of 2 things. Obviously, it's a topic that is really important, and I think quite a topic that we don't really speak about as much, more around the pressure that teens and more boys can go under when they are at school. But most importantly, and the bullying that goes around that. But I think one thing that I thought you would appreciate is also the cinematography that was used during this film, where it was all taken into one shot. So what that means is that every time the actors had to repeat a scene, they would have to start from the very beginning. No cuts at all. So it is an impressive performance, and I thought that was a really interesting series that at the moment is going viral on our side of the continent. But I would recommend it if you haven't seen it.
I got to check that out. And also, I want to see that article that you wrote. It seems awesome. We should include that link to it in the show notes. Cool. And then the last thing I just want to acknowledge on our side, Sawhorse won 5 Addy Awards at the Los Angeles Addies for our Roblox projects. So just wanted to give a shout out to the team and shout out to our partners, Warner Brothers, Sol de Janeiro, and NBCU for all the amazing work that we got recognized for. So that was pretty cool.
Congrats. Honestly, congrats to the team. I'm still loving the Beetlejuice activation that you guys have done. That was amazing. And Wicked as well was so good. I mean, all of them are so good, but congrats to you guys.
Thank you. It's definitely a massive team effort. I just keep getting, just really appreciate the partnership and how big these teams are across from the client side to the production side to the geek side and the advising side. It's everybody working together to make amazing stuff. So
yeah, takes a village.
Takes a village, no doubt. But got a lot to get through today, so let's jump to the news.
Let's jump to the news. All right, first piece of news for this week. Assassin's Creed is finally out. Release had been slightly delayed, but it finally is out, and really exciting to see how well it's performing. They already had 2 million players in like 2 days, which is above, I think, what was initially expected, and above, I think, the like 2017 and 2018 release. So really excited to see how well it's performing. We have seen a lot of brands partnership actually partnering for this really anticipated launch. And I picked 2 that I thought was quite interesting because it just showed how IP partnership can have different types of objectives. So the first one was with Red Bull, and here the objective was more a lead gen campaign. So what they've done, which I thought was really clever, is that, and something that we don't really see developer allow, but essentially the brand partnership with Red Bull allowed people to go on the Red Bull website, do a short quiz, and then putting in their detail and email address. But by essentially completing this quiz, you then got perks, and like you had a medallion and a wooden plaque that gave you like perks on like health and like damage inside the game. And usually developers tend to turn away from having these types of perks that allow you to actually have like better features inside the game. But I thought that was quite interesting that they allowed that. So that's more like CRM led and lead generation campaign. And then on the other side, you had, I don't know this beer, Friendship Brewery. Maybe this, I haven't seen it here, so maybe it's more of a US base. I don't know if it is US based.
I don't know how big it is. I don't know if I've heard of it.
Okay, but essentially, it's a little bit like what Fanta had done with Xbox. So what they did is that they did a limited edition can for of their beer, and then within that you had a code that allowed you to like redeem again. I believe it was a weapon that gave you again like more perks and more ability within the game. So 2 things were for the, I hope I'm not butchering that name, but Friendship Brewery, it was more conversion based. So it was more like direct purchases. And then for Red Bull, it was more lead generation. So 2 smart ways to leverage those IP partnerships for like bottom funnel activation, but like the ROI was a little bit different based on the objective that they respectively had. But I'm very excited to play the game. Are you a big Assassin's Creed game fan?
I wouldn't say I'm a big fan, but I've always appreciated the game and the graphics and the story, which is like, it's up there as like one of the greats. It's cool to see these brands come in and kind of get what they want out of those activations. It seems like exactly. And I love to see when more brands go into more traditional, like larger AAA titles that aren't UGC based. Agreed. And this is a great example of that. And I think we're seeing a lot more of that. I remember back in the day, if it was a AAA title, like a brand really wouldn't work its way in. It didn't really fit. But now it seems like almost every AAA has some kind of branded angle, right? Yeah,
and I think it also goes to the fact that, when you have a new game like this, like I think a lot of developers are now considering games as their like 360 strategy, because it helps them like reach a new audience that might not be aware of their IP. And I think it goes both ways. I'm sure a lot of brands obviously want to be part of those like really like cultural moment. But I think for a lot of these developers, when you're pushing such a big IP that had taken like years to develop, the launch is vital. So I'm so happy to see that so many people are already playing the game. But I think having a brand partnership strategy for the launch of your game when it is AAA is like vital. And I think that's what we've seen with even in entertainment. I think that's what it's the Barbie model, right? It's like you launch the movie, but you have so many brand partnership that allows to like do the promotion on your behalf.
Yeah. And when it comes to immersive marketing, like the future of marketing and really engaging with consumers and having it be actually really valuable, you can see how examples like this go a lot further and deeper than like a commercial or a banner ad. So it's exciting. I think we're going to see more of it. I'll jump to my next story, which is about Netflix. And this is coming out of news that was announced at GDC last week. But they essentially have this mission about how they want to entertain the entire world. And do you know how many customers Netflix has? You want to take a guess?
Did I? 500 mil or something.
Not bad. 700 million customers.
Oh, wow.
Okay. And they're looking at it from this lens. They want to keep people entertained year round. So you have a lot of people that watch a series, and then when it is completed, they might not jump to another show. They might want to go off platform, start playing video games or whatever. I think they're really looking at it as like, well, how can we keep people entertained, whether that's, a TV show, a film, or a game? So Netflix gaming has been around for a while. They've developed a lot of different games from the IP. And what they're trying to do is kind of keep that engagement going with their fans and their customers. A couple of games that have been really successful is like their Squid Game on mobile. And there's another game that looks really sick called Spirit Crossing, where the fidelity looks amazing. It's just, kind of an indicator and just having their point of view of, always on, always engaging. And from an entertainment standpoint, not just looking at it from, top-down storytelling, looking at this. You take these IPs and you develop them everywhere all at once to engage and capture those audiences for longer periods of time. What do you think about that?
I think, it is, there's two things. One, it's really interesting how they are utilizing gaming as a way to capture attention. And I think, again, it goes to show that gaming is really a way to retain people's attention for a longer period of time. And I think the issue with Netflix is they're always relying on like the next big season that's going to get people to either subscribe or like watch the next show. Like, as you mentioned, Squid Game, Stranger Things, there's always been like those really big IP. And I think the problem is that sometimes you have subscribers that are only taking a membership to be able to watch those shows and then disconnect. And I think it's how do they convince people to stay on the platform through other touch points around the IP is very vital. And like, I can't remember. I think it was like probably a year every time between like the Squid Games or even like Stranger Things. So it's really important for them to like create new touch points so that people don't disconnect. So very smart on their side, and also very smart for them to go more like mobile and also TV focused, as opposed to I think what they had before where they wanted to have their own like PC games and their own studio. I think that route feels a lot more aligned with their initial product.
Yeah, I totally agree. And another thing coming out of that announcement was trying to take a focus on gaming inside the living room. So not gaming on the iPad or your phone. Like, how do we have some games that are happening on the TV in the living room and kind of engaging everybody that's there in a more interactive entertainment way, which I think that's really exciting. I want to see more of that.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm looking forward to also like the compatibility between like the movie and the game on it. I think that would be really fun as well.
Yeah, they did Bandersnatch. I think that was just like a baby step, and there's a lot of interactivity coming.
I agree. Next up is NYX that has partnered with Minecraft ahead of their movie release for a collection of blushes and lip gloss. I haven't been excited by a IP makeup partnership in so long. And I thought the packaging were amazing, the blushes, the colors were amazing. And again, I was checking Geek this morning to be able to see what was the demographic of Minecraft. And it is really over-indexing in a female audience from their social following. Above 36%. And I think what they've done, because again, like the audience is quite diverse, is that they've created, fun blushes, fun colors that really takes elements of the movie and the Minecraft IP. And I just love, I think, when a brand goes above and beyond and not just slapping a logo with their logo and the Minecraft logo. They just created like new coloring, completely customized packaging that we've never seen NYX done before. The blushes, I hope we can put images, but it's just, I would advise people to go check it out. And it's available from this week. So if you are in the UK, it's your local Sainsbury's. And I actually don't know where they are distributing in the US. I'm assuming is it Walgreens and CVS that you guys have? Yeah.
Yeah, we got those too. Also, Sephora as well.
Probably Sephora as well. But I was really excited. I don't know if you saw the packagings.
No, is it cool? Is it like all Minecraft? So cool. It looks like a Minecraft item.
No, it's really cute, and it's love it. Go check it out. I thought it was really interesting because we've seen in the past like beauty activations or like partnership around a product, without much of an effort to like infuse the DNA of the game. And I think they've just gone above and beyond, and I really love that.
Like those unique products become collector's items. And speaking as a collector myself, like if I care about an IP of some sort, I don't care who the brand is. If they make it and it's a unique item, it's something that I just want to have and hold, you know? So it works from that angle.
Exactly. Different target audiences. People that just want to have a bit of fun with the makeup, but also, as you said, collectors and just people that are a fan of the Minecraft IP.
Cool. And then my last story is just about Fortnite and more brands coming in. I know I've been talking about it a lot lately, but as I scroll through my LinkedIn, I'm always just like, damn, that brand. Wow, look, that's interesting. So there's two that I just wanted to highlight. First being ESPN, the sports broadcast company in the United States, has created Basketball Island, all focused on the basketball sport. And Disney owns ESPN, so it makes a lot of sense that they would activate on Fortnite because of the $2 billion investment deal that happened recently. But I think my point on this stuff is I really like when brands lean into the ethos of what they do. And ESPN, they don't make the sport, they distribute the sport. Mm-hmm. So when I look at like how you activate within these UGC gaming platforms, it seems like could ESPN do something differently? I know it's very difficult to say, for instance, live stream, content, and there's all rights issues there. But what can you do from a fandom standpoint to engage the audience there, as opposed to just say, okay, here's a basketball related thing, do that.
Yeah, I agree.
So, I think we're going to see a lot more of it. And I think one important note is that if you look at the audience on these platforms, who are they? They're young people and they're expecting gamification. So if you go too far in the theoretical side, it may not get any engagement. But I do think we're at this interesting cusp. Like over the next few years, we're going to see brands come in more authentically and not try to just attach a game type to what they do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree.
The second one I wanted to highlight was Mentos, the snack. Are you familiar with Mentos?
Yeah.
Yeah, the fresh maker. I remember in the 90s, there was that crazy commercial. Maybe we can show a clip of that. So Mentos has come into Fortnite. They made a really amazing trailer, which first caught my attention. The fidelity is fantastic. Mm-mm. Looks super cool. It was the agency behind it was Beyond Creative. And they essentially created this custom bazooka launcher, which is like this custom weapon that has like Mentos that go inside and soda, and then it gets so much pressure that it shoots out. And what it does is it knocks players down. And I thought that this actually was pretty genius, because one of the fears that a lot of brands have about activating on a platform like Fortnite is that it's an aged up audience and most of the game types are battle royale and there's a lot of guns and shooting. Yeah. So this was a really clever way to keep it brand safe, because it's like no one's getting hurt. You've got like a bazooka and you're knocking people over and it's fun. Yeah. It's almost like Nerf at that point. It's not like a military gun shooting situation. So I just thought it was clever the way they worked that in.
I mean, that's probably why I know Mentos is because of I don't know if you can call it the chemical thing that happens when you mix it with Coca-Cola. But I think we've all seen those videos on like TikTok and others of trying to drop as many Mentos as possible and then like shutting down your like Coca-Cola bottle and it completely explodes. So I think they just like took into, how people are, leveraging, like creating content around their brand. It's not about the freshness of the Mentos. It's just the fun that you can have with it. And I just love that they just leaned into it as opposed to like going against the narrative that is currently on social media around their product, and just created something like really fun where it's like, well, why don't we create a really cool weapon on Fortnite because we have like soda and our Mentos in there. So I think I just really loved the idea. I thought that was really cool.
It's fun, it's smart, and it's authentic, and it's simple. They're not overthinking it. This is a silly thing that we all know. They found a way to put it right on across the platform within those integrations. So love to see that.
Right. This wraps up our news section. So now we will go on to a real-time review. We have something a little bit different. We are going to deep dive into music and the space that virtual environments have taken for music and music artists. But before we do, I think we will go back into memory lane, Nick, and look at the different concerts that happened over the year. I think virtual concerts have really evolved since they first started on Roblox and then Fortnite. So let's look back at how these have evolved, the type of artists that have gone onto this platform and how they've engaged with their fans, leveraging those virtual environments.
I love it. Let's jump in.
Let's jump in.
Okay, this first one, Lil Nas X concert on Roblox. This is back in December 2020.
That was the first one, wasn't it?
Yeah. Were you working at Geek when this came out?
I was trying to think whether... I don't think so. No, because I've joined in 2021. So no, I was... So quite interesting. I was furloughed in production. So obviously all the shoots were we couldn't shoot at all. Mm-hmm. So a bit of a lull time. And actually this is when I really recovered my love of gaming. So I spent most of lockdown playing World of Warcraft and games, but I was not on Roblox at the time. So I've missed this. But I think this is the how do you call it? The concert that's really started all of the others, because they had such a huge engagement. We need to put the stats as on our screens, but it was incredible. I think the amount of people that, just because there was nothing else to do and no concert that were live, I think that was just completely new way for Lil Nas to be able to engage with his fans.
I think it would caught a lot of people off guard, because it was one of the first ones during the pandemic, and they're like, wow, look what you can do. If you're a music artist, you can activate on these platforms like Roblox. And this generated a lot of monetization and huge awareness and massive numbers compared to what you're used to on social platforms. So
absolutely.
Pretty amazing, and one for the history books.
Now, this is one, Nick, that both you and I, Geek and So Forth obviously has worked on. It was Elton John on Roblox, so I think we're a little bit biased into how good this was. But as you mentioned, it was not just a concert, and there was a whole gamification and a whole world that was launched prior to the concert to be able to get even more engagement. And I think what I loved about what you guys have done on this one is the level of, as you said, gamification even during the concert. So it wasn't, just jumping around a massive avatar. There was actually mini games and things to do while you were seeing Elton perform.
Yeah, the team did a really amazing job on this, and we worked really closely with the Geek team, strategically design every single one of these areas in the concert. But yeah, I mean, it's just from a creative standpoint, it was really out of the box. And Dan and Kim, the creative directors on this, really smashed it. Yeah.
And the one thing that I haven't seen any other performer do is during his live concert, there was also, so you can remind me, it was a participation that you had to, I think, do several quests and then enter a competition, and you can have your avatar, your Roblox avatar, projected in the stadium.
Yeah.
The real stadium.
On his Yellow Brick Road, Beyond the Yellow Brick Road tour at Dodger Stadium, they projected these Roblox avatars on the screen. And so all of the players that participated and took a picture of their avatar and submitted it, we did a supercut and showed them to everyone there. So it was a pretty awesome moment. And I was actually in the audience and I got to see that, and it was just mind-blowing.
Yeah, and I think it's something that I haven't seen any other artists do, where they play on that connectivity of, I'm doing something on Roblox, but there's actually, whatever you do inside the game has an impact into the in real life event. And I always love that, the fact that what people are doing in these environment matters and has a direct impact in real life. And I haven't seen any other artist making that connection.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's a huge miss if you don't. Why not connect outside of this virtual world into what we all understand? So I think people should do it more often. Great. But one fun fact about this Elton project is that most of the players that we interviewed and the devs we spoke to didn't know who Elton was. Yeah. So we had to educate him.
And then to finish that point, I think it's, again, for an artist that has an audience that, maybe they've been around for a really long time and they're struggling to connect on with Gen Zers, and maybe it's just via TikTok platforms. It just goes to show Roblox can be a platform, or Fortnite can be a platform for engaging with this new community. And I think Elton John has done it really, really well. Now we are looking at Travis Scott on Fortnite. So the previous experiences have been on Roblox. This is the first, I believe, concert. So we're back to 2020 at the same time at Lil Nas X, sorry. And I mean, unbelievable. I would say like just the graphic that Fortnite allows you to do is pretty incredible. And I think the cool thing that people don't really spot immediately is that he's wearing Nike shoes. So this is little, I don't know if that was planned with Nike or not, but it is definitely a good visualization of their product here.
Yeah. And yeah, I'll echo the fidelity. I mean, the art quality and the level of graphics are second to none. And I think that this is like up there with Lil Nas X as far as the numbers of engagement. I think I think these are the top 2 most attended virtual concerts ever.
Yeah.
Okay, next up, this is the Ariana Grande concert on Fortnite.
That was my favorite. This one, I think, so again, it's still on Fortnite, so you have those amazing graphics, but what I loved is, again, the introduction of gamification, like quests and things that you had to do while she was performing. Also, the textures were incredible. Incredible. We're seeing it now. All this, like, I don't know, I think it was related to her ponytail hairstyle, but it was so cool. I loved this. This concert from Ariana Grande. Also, the skin that went with it was sick. I have it, love it. I just think the whole concert was by far my favorite that I've ever attended, because it was like the storyline was incredible and it was just so fun and you had so much to do while she was performing.
That's awesome. Yeah, the level of gamification here is really high. And I would also point out that as far as like merch is concerned, you mentioned you got a skin from this concert and it was only available during the time. So if you didn't attend this concert, you didn't get that skin. You almost have no way of getting it. Yeah. And that's kind of like the real world, like the band t-shirt, like when you go see that band live, whenever 5 years ago, you put that t-shirt on, you walk around, people are like, oh, were you there? I was there. It's that same vibe for your avatar.
She looks so cool.
Yeah. And another thing that's really cool is oftentimes the artist will be collaborating with the game designers to make these. So I don't know the story behind this concert, but she could be doing motion capture right now on a stage, and they kind of map her movements, and then they kind of bring that in through post-production and then map it onto the avatars, which that's the workflow we've done in the past. And it's a really fun way to collaborate with the artists and have it feel authentic and organic to them.
Yeah, I think that's what Sabrina Carpenter has done with the MetaQuest concert. So it was like all mocap.
Do you think we're going to see more of these concerts or less?
I was thinking about that. I feel like, I still think for certain artists, there is a space. And I think we'll deep dive into it with our interview with Alvaro, but I think there is definitely a space for concert like this to still be fun and to still be entertaining, but you really need to have the weight of and the fandom around Ariana Grande or around Lil Nas and Travis Scott. These are like really big names, and that also resonate with these with that generation. I think where I think we'll see less of it is probably more of a passive concert of like a bigger than normal like avatar performing, and more maybe spaces for like fandom, and probably more of those record label utilizing these experiences to be able to make their artists discovered. But that's just my take on it. What do you think?
Yeah, I think they just have to figure out how to monetize it a little bit stronger and figure out what the business model is. But we can tell fans love it. So, I mean, I think they're going to try to keep working on it. Now we're looking at the Fortnite Remix concert that came out in 2024, mainly hip-hop. So a huge hip-hop fan myself. So seeing Snoop Dogg and Eminem on this one was pretty awesome. And I did attend this one, and I was pretty blown away.
Yeah, I didn't attend that one. I'm a bit gutted because I'm looking at the replay. It looks really cool. So were you able to play Eminem and fight against him, or what was how was it?
He was fighting against someone else, and you got to kind of fly around. Okay. Yeah.
Did you see the Nicki Minaj activation on Call of Duty?
No, I missed that.
Right. Okay, if we can insert some clip, it was amazing because it was her skin, but it was also her voice. So she recorded, like, you know, little sounds of like,
those little
yeah. It's like, oh, you down, you're.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. All her characters, all her little sounds.
But so in the Call of Duty, so it's hilarious. It's so good. She's so funny. So another quite interesting one.
I also saw her activation on Roblox, which is cool.
Yeah.
Well, this is the ABBA concert, which I think we should talk about.
Ah, sick.
Okay, so, and this is the last one we're going to look at is the ABBA Voyage concert, which is, this to be clear, this is not on a UDC gaming platform. This was a IRL concert in the real world, and they used holograms to bring the band ABBA to life. And you can see from the footage here, it's like massive sold out arenas watching avatars and holograms. What do you think about this?
So it's in London, so I have been dying to go see it, and usually, as you said, it sells out super quickly, so I haven't managed to get tickets yet. But I think you can see it on the screen, but I've spoke to people that have been, and you really can't, like, it's so good because it's all in the dark, so you really feel like they're there, so it doesn't feel like, you know, a cheap like tech thing, and there's actually like that feeling of them being there. So it is apparently it's like you're blown away when you come out of this concert. So I really want to do it. I'm also a huge ABBA fan, so I would love to do it.
That's dope. Yeah, I want to also check that out. And this last one is Carl Cox. This is from Sensorium's Carl Cox EDM concert. And yeah, so this is its own experience. This is not on a specific platform, but it's accessible online. And again, with something like this, the fidelity is super high and looks really awesome.
Yeah, really cool.
Cool. All right, well, let's go back to the show.
Let's go back to the show.
Okay, so that was our recap on how the music industry has activated across these UGC gaming platforms with all those concerts. Yeah. Excited. I think that there's going to be more of them, but I think, again, we have to figure out the business model that makes sense in order for us to see it happen at scale.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think without further ado, let's jump into our interview with Alvaro, where we can deep dive around the future of this virtual platform for artists, but also for record labels.
So we've got Alvaro Velilla, Senior Vice President of New Business at UMG. And for those that don't know, Universal Music Group is the largest music company in the world. Its labels include Capitol, Def Jam, EMI, Republic, Virgin, just to name a few. And it's a company that's driven a lot of major innovation in the space. And just to be transparent, Sawhorse and Geek have worked with UMG in the past on a project with Elton John. And we've also done work with Olivia Rodrigo, Kingship, and most recently a Rec Room activation with Jimmy Fallon. And then Alvaro, I think we met the first time at SEG 3 in LA a couple of years back, where you lost your keys that day, your car keys, right?
Correct. Yes. I have forgotten about that incident. Yeah. It was a great day. I think I was part of a panel. You were, that SEG 3 is such an interesting small conference. It was fun. I think I recall having a great conversation with you.
Yeah. Well, that's how we kicked it off. So let's jump in, and just from a high level, those the listeners that don't know who you are, can you talk about who are you and what do you do at UMG?
Sure. Well, very briefly, I guess I've been working at the intersection of music and technology for the last 20 years. Very entrepreneurial background. I founded a number of small record labels. Always with creativity, technology, music, and business always in mind. It's almost like the driving force behind everything I do. I work for, Pasha in Ibiza, On Records in San Francisco, my own platform brand called Pulse Locker, a music streaming service, as I said, acquired by Beatport. I was at SoundCloud for 6 years, working as part of the business development team. And I landed Universal Music about 3 years ago, where I worked with Michael Nash and I help grow the gaming immersive blockchain strategy across the board.
Can you tell us a little bit about the shift that is happening now with music and artists going inside gaming, where maybe before it was more licensing? Has this changed? Is the landscape really different, or are we looking at a similar way for, I guess, for your team to look at the space?
Well, I think there are a few dimensions to that question. What I would say is that, if you think about Universal Music and all UMGs labels and artists, over the last 2 years, Nick, you were talking about some of the incredible activations that you guys developed. Over the last few years, we've seen some of the most impactful and interesting, integrations, artist integrations in gaming. Most cases coming from UMG labels like Introscope, like Republic, EMI. So, think Chappelle Roan, Sabrina Carpenter, the Rolling Stones, the incredible Elton John experience that you guys developed, Nicki Minaj. So, in terms of integration and sort of rev share of artists' activations in gaming, Universal Music has been at the forefront over the last few years. In terms of the industry, what I'm observing is a shift toward more comprehensive artist activations. We're moving into a world in which artists want to not only be followed and admired, but they want for their fan bases to interact with them, right? So we're moving from admiration and followership to interaction, and that basically means evangelism. It means better engagement and more comprehensive monetization opportunities for the labels and for the artists, of course.
Yeah, you guys have done some really awesome experiences over the past few years. I'm just curious to pick your brain about how you've seen the activations change. Because if you look at the beginning during the pandemic, it was all about the concert, like Little Nas X and Travis Scott, right? It was like this. That's how music shows up here. But it's completely changed at this point. What's your take on that?
Again, it's going to be more about interaction. It's going to be more about shortening the distance in between the artist and the fan. And that is going to be possible through innovation, in my opinion, and new technologies that many of these companies are developing. I also see a world in which music is much more fluid. Right? We've gone from the traditional single license model into, a new generation that is demanding, music integration in different ways. I have a 12-year-old and I see how he engages with these platforms and what he wants. And he wants more. He wants more music. He wants faster. He wants more fluid. He wants music that is changing, that is evolving. He wants to listen, to be able to listen to the latest hits as part of the experience, right? And not just as background music, right? So I only see acceleration in the space.
Can you? I think we've seen you guys doing more group level activations and then more individual artist level, so concerts, as Nick mentioned, Eminem having their own concert as well on Fortnite. Can you tell us a little bit like how you foresee at a group level, like the strategy essentially from an artist, but also as a record level?
Yeah. And I can speak about Big Galaxy in particular because we led that project with our friends at Super Social. The idea with Big Galaxy was that building custom lands, it is very expensive. And when I joined Universal Music 3 years ago, many of these activations were costing absolute fortunes. And think that Universal Music represents hundreds of artists. So Big Galaxy was a bit like an answer, or a bit like an infrastructure-based strategy to be able to bring many more artists to Roblox faster, and to shorten the time, the time that it would take for an artist to basically go from concept to execution on Roblox. Big Galaxy is still there. We have really good plans for the platform. For 2025 and 2026. And, we've seen some really cool integrations, again, from the Rolling Stones to Zed to Baby Queen. It's been really exciting only to see big big brands and big artists activating on Roblox, but also to give the opportunity to smaller up and coming developing artists. Because to be honest, in many cases, those are, typically very, very tech savvy, younger, much more interested in being at the cutting edge, at the bleeding edge of all this. And it's been really great to be able to do that with Bit Galaxy.
Couldn't agree more. So we just had GDC last week, the Game Developers Conference, and you had a major announcement there. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
GDC is becoming an important conference for Universal Music, for the music industry in general, but for us in particular. And this year we had a pretty big presence, the platform, from record labels, executives, partners. So we did. We organized 2 events. A really exclusive dinner for gaming executives on Thursday night for about 60 people. The idea was to, hopefully to help create, synergies, connect with companies that are interested in music in innovative ways. And then after that, we threw an event with Sophie Tucker DJing. Sophie Tucker from Virgin Music Group, really incredible band. So that was a lot of fun. And then at the same time, we announced this partnership with this new platform called Hit Tech. And what is really interesting about Hit Tech is that it's an Andreessen Horowitz-backed company. What is really interesting about Hit Tech is that they are the first storefront for motion data. That basically means that they have a store and a format that can be integrated in all the development tools and in gaming experiences across the space. And it is a collaboration with Virgin and with Republic. They are going to be launching with Lil Wayne emotes and the YouTube phenomenon CG5. And the idea is that, from this point on, emotes and access to emotes, if you're a game developer, is fully democratized. Right, so anybody can come to the platform and purchase an emote and integrate the emotes into their experience, which is a combination of motion data and a short music clip.
That's so cool. So does that mean that you will be? Is it trans platform so you can create an emote for like Fortnite or for Roblox, and that essentially, or how does it work?
It really depends on the platform. Obviously, Roblox and Fortnite are highly guarded spaces, and most of those activations are very much white gloved and good. Really collaborations in between our labels and those platforms. But think about the mobile gaming space. Think about the PC space. Gigantic parts of the gaming industry that haven't been able to access emotes in the way how these other players in the other platforms have. So I think it's important not to simply look at the gaming from the lenses of those 2 platforms, but also it's a gigantic $270 billion industry with many many areas of interest for Universal Music. Development tools, a really, really important part of the conversation. Mobile gaming, PC gaming. So the strategy with with Heat goes in that direction.
Yeah, congratulations. That's a huge launch.
Thank you. It's very strategic and exciting, frankly.
What excites you the most about innovation in music as it pertains to like gaming?
What I can tell you is that personally, I can speak, from my personal point of view and then the company. But what I would say is that I spent half of my life working in creator economies, right? And I'm very passionate about creators and the tools used to create art. And the gaming industry is the biggest creator economy on earth. And that is incredibly exciting, right? It is, and it's also really interesting because in terms of music, as we were discussing, it's a bit of a blank canvas, right? Nobody has been able to, we're still very much in the sing license model. And I see that things are going to change. We're working hard to build additional monetization and distribution opportunities on top of licensing. I think there is always going to be a place for the traditional sync license model. But the industry is growing so fast and it's changing so fast that we see that there are going to be new innovation opportunities in the near future. What I was going to say is that, and in terms of licensing, Uh, One of the challenges, and this is something that some developers might or might not be aware of, right? One of the challenges is that if you think about music and gaming, and the idea of integrating artists into these experiences, you're fundamentally looking at five different types of rights that for the first time in history are basically colliding into one product, right? Think about master rights for the music, publishing rights for the music, image and likeness, another different type of rights, talking about merchandise rights, and then motion data. So if you look at the industry, typically those five rights have lived in almost like in different corners of the industry, right? So it is not a plug and play solution that we labels can bring to the table, not until now, right? Me and Mike Bevel and other team members at Universal Music, we are all entrepreneurs and we consider ourselves intrapreneurs, right? To bring people together, to work closely with the labels and other executives, and to be able to build sort of like the future of music and gaming. And that takes a lot of time and consensus and energy.
Thank you so much, Alvaro. I felt like that was such an interesting deep dive into how those platforms need to think about the space, but also how brand can think about collaborating with some of your artists, how artists needs to think about it. I thank you so much for your time today and for spending and being part of that interview with us.
Perfect. Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, thanks, Alvaro. You definitely opened my mind like you always do, and gave me a reminder how complicated music is to properly license and work with. But it's so important, and we need it. So we appreciate you, and let's go back to the show.
Thank you so much.
That was such a really good interview. I think my key takeaway from there's two things really. I feel like platforms, UGC platform, virtual platforms like Roblox, Fortnite, they really need to think a little bit about how other social media platforms have had those larger licensing partnership with record labels. I think TikTok has done it so well, where you now have artists that can be discovered through TikTok. This is becoming a distribution and discovery channel for young artists. And I'm really keen to see platform catching up to this so that you can essentially empower your developers to create games in your platform with the music of the moment that is on Spotify and other social media platforms. What did you think?
Yeah, I fully support that thought. And I think I'm impressed by Alvaro. He's a smart guy. He's driving a lot of innovation. And I think we need innovation in music to help push music into these new emerging technological platforms, because music drives culture and it's traditionally complicated with licensing. So it's a big lift, but we're going to see it kind of permeate and force its way into all of the entertainment we consume in this new way. So I think he's leading the charge there, and I'm excited to see what happens over the next few years.
Yeah, absolutely. And we were seeing Fortnite already doing quite a lot in the space with like the jams tracks, but I think we're only at the very start of what those platforms could be. So I agree with you. I think it's on both sides. It's the platforms, but it's also the record label that need people like Alvaro to really push things forward.
Absolutely. And speaking about music, what's played out, normally that's referred to like what music track is played out, but we'll jump into our section to talk about what's played out for you this week. What's played out?
I think sometimes what's played out is that when the core focus of your activation is just about the tech and you forget about the initial like storyline or meaning of why you were in that platform. And I think going back to adolescence, I really liked the messaging and the message and the story that they were trying to do on this show. But I felt like every PR now is not talking about the subject matter and more about the fact that it was done in one shot. And I don't personally think that the story needed to have that cinematography to be conveying a message. So I think sometimes, and it gets lost in, those virtual platforms as well. And we see brand being so excited by the tech that they forget about the why. And I think it's more about like, remember about why you are in those spaces. What is the core message? What are you trying to convey? And then the tech is here as an enabler, as opposed to like the core reason why you're doing things.
Yeah, that's
my played out.
That's a great note. I mean, it can act as a distraction sometimes.
Yeah.
Kind of reminds me of like with technology, that concept of just because you can doesn't mean you should.
Yeah.
You know, at the end of the day, it's like, what is the point? What are you trying to say? How can you best say it without all the bells and whistles sometimes?
Exactly.
So for me, my played out thing, I just have a little bit of a critique for the awards industry. I've been very lucky, and it's always been lucky to be recognized for a lot of things, and I appreciate all of the award organizations. But there are some, especially some of the older ones, that have a rule where just because they have a category they're submitting for, they don't have to choose a winner. They can like literally review everybody and say, none of these are good enough for this award, so we're not going to run it this year. Or they might just pick somebody as at the silver level or at the gold or at the bronze level, but they won't award a gold to anybody. So I think it's a little silly, in my opinion. And I feel like if that's the best work that came out of the year, somebody can win, as opposed to you saying it just doesn't meet our this award ceremony standards. I don't know. That's my take. It feels a little snooty, feels a little played out, but I'm curious to get your take.
I feel like it feels very French. I think you're referring probably to the Cannes Lions. I feel like because I think in the US you got like participation medal, and I think maybe
everyone's a winner.
Everyone's a winner. Where I kind of like actually the fact, but we're like, you know what? This year we don't feel like anyone hit the mark, and we need to keep standard. So I kind of like that there's still awards that have like higher standard just to push the industry. Otherwise, I think my played out would be, like you can tell, and this is probably not in our domain and more like in the TV space, but you can kind of tell what are the ad campaigns that have been done with the ad and Cannes Lion in mind, because they were trying to like please the juror, as opposed to I think we've all been in like production where the end objective is we want to win a Cannes Lion out of this, as opposed to like the core messaging. So I agree with you where I think there's some core issue with those reward and those awards, some of them at least. But I in that sense, you played out, I'm kind of happy with it, because I feel like otherwise, I don't know, you need to have a bit of like, for those things to exist, you need to have a bit of standard, and I think it's quite good that they're still pushing. That's my take.
I agree. I definitely don't like anything handed to me, so I feel like
work extra hard, Nick.
Any adversity is good. As artists, we push ourselves so hard. So whatever, just earn it. Figure out how to earn it. Might be 10 years from now. So cool. The bar is high. But what's happening next week?
So next week, I'm super excited because we are joined by Laurie Keith. She is the VP Emerging Media and Technology at the Ad Council, and we will discuss their recent experiences that launched on Roblox, all around their public service advertisement, Love Your Mind. So really excited to have her on the podcast next and deep dive into what they did on Roblox and on the platform.
Yeah, 100%. Definitely looking forward to that. And I just want to give a shout out and thanks to Alvaro for coming on the show, and want to give a thanks to all the listeners and the viewers have followed us for the past 6 weeks. And as we continue to do more of this, then please subscribe, leave a review, and join the conversation with #BrandsInPlay. And Edward, would you please read us out?
That was Brands in Play. Thank you for joining the podcast where we explore immersive marketing and the people who are leading it. Co-hosted by Albane, Prioux, and Nick Hill. Our show today was produced by myself, Alvaro G, with creative direction by Joey Jeddah and Javed Kazmi, and audio engineering by Somran Kiyo. Special thanks to Kristen James Olszewski. Be sure to join us every week for brand new episodes.
The views, thoughts, and opinions expressed in this podcast are solely those of the host and guests and do not necessarily reflect the views, policies, or positions of host employers. The information shared during this podcast is based on personal experience and publicly available information and is intended for informational purposes only. Any references to specific platforms, companies, or partnerships are made in a personal capacity and do not imply endorsement, partnership, or official association with any organization mentioned.